Okay, let's keep going here. These look a little different because they now have some y's. But because of, the reason I like this method is that it doesn't change anything. So the left side still needs to multiply to the left. So I'm going to do a 3x and a single x. Because that gets you, if you multiply, a 3x times x is a 3x squared. Now I do have negative 10 here. So I don't really know if that's a 1 and a 10 or a 2 and a 5. I'm going to try 2 and 5. So I'll try 2 and I'll try 5. 5 and 2. Now 5 and 2 does not multiply to negative 10, so I make one of them negative. That still doesn't multiply to the right because I need y squared, so I'm going to have to do a y and a y. So now negative 5y times 2y is indeed negative 10y squared. So I can just try my diagonals now. Again, I'm just look at the numbers. So that's going to be a 6. 1 times negative 5 is negative 5. If I add those together, I get a positive 1. That is not what I needed. Now changing the negative symbol will get me, I just changed the symbol, so I'm not actually going to change those. I'll put the 2 up here, and then the 5. So this diagonal, 3 times 5 is 15. This diagonal, 1 times negative 2 is a negative 2. 15 minus 2 is 13. Perfect, but I need a negative. So I'll change the symbols to change the symbol. I'll make this a positive 2, and I'll make this bottom one a negative 5. Now my diagonals, now that I know this is going to work, this is going to be a negative 15 xy, because x times y is the xy, and then the 3 and 5 is 15. And this diagonal, 1 times 2 is 2, with another x and another y. So if you were to add these, you'd get negative 13 xy, which is my middle term. Exactly, with all the numbers and the letters. Now again, you don't need to do this step, but it's just easier for me to explain it, and you guys can see it. Now I do have, and here we go. So 3x plus 2y and an x minus 5y. So let's write that down, 3x plus 2y and an x minus 5y. I had to just cut the video there, so I don't actually know what I said, but the only thing that's different about this question is that there's a y and a y, which gets you a y squared. That's really the only thing that's changed. Okay, so let's try another one here. There's 2 ways to do this question, but I'm just going to continue doing it this way. So on the left here is, I have to get to 6, which I guess is 3 and 2, or 6 and 1. So I'm going to do 3 and 2 because that's closer together. And over here is a negative 4x squared. So an x and an x will get me the x squared, and I need negative 4. So it could be negative 2 and positive 2. Or I guess it could be the negative 4 and positive 1. Or the 1, I guess, could be negative. So I'm just going to try 2 and 2, though, first, and make one of the symbols negative. So this diagonal is going to be negative 4. This diagonal is going to be 6, which will add up to be 2. So that's not my middle term. So I'm going to change this. Now I'm changing the numbers on the left a little bit. So now I'm going to do, well, what did I just do? I think it was 3, 2. So I can switch it. I mean, it's a little redundant here. I could switch it to 2, 3. But because this side is 2s, they're going to be the same answer. So I'm still going to get negative 6 and 4, which would be negative 2. I'm still not anywhere near that 5. So I tried that, and you could try 6 and 1. Then that's going to be 12, and that's going to be negative 2. 12, negative 2, that gets me a 10. That's not my middle term. And if you switch these, again, it won't make much of a difference because you're still going to get negative 12 and 2. That's going to get you negative 10. Like, that's still not getting me where I want to go. So it must be these 2's here. So I'm going to go back and put these to 3 and 2. And I'm going to change this to negative 4 and 1. Okay, so this right here is going to be a negative 8, and that's going to be a 3. And if I put those together, I get a negative 5. Perfect. I need a positive 5. So I'm just going to change the negative symbol. I'll put the negative not there. I'll put it down here. So now my diagonals are going to be 8x and negative 3x, which add up to a positive 5, which is what I have. Perfect. So now I've got a 3 plus 4x and a 2 minus 1x. So this is exactly the same, but I just have the x's on the other side, which kind of throws things off in my brain a little bit. But I mean, once I get past it, all I'm doing is just changing these numbers, and the x just happens to be on the right. I can start fiddling around with the numbers and kind of solving this little puzzle until I get to a positive 5. Okay, let's try another one. Now here, I need to get 10, so I'm going to do 5 and 2, or 2 and 5, I guess. Or 10 and 1, 1 and 10, but I'm going to start with 5 and 2. Now I need an x4, so I guess you could do an x3 and an x1, because when you multiply, you add the exponents, and 3 plus 1 is going to be 4. But we always want to keep these variables the same number of them. So we're going to do 2 and 2. And that will always be like that when we factor. So x squared, multiply, you add 2 plus 2, you get 4. Now I do need to get 3 here on this side, negative 3, so I'll just do negative 3 and 1, and I'll just see where that makes us. So that's negative 6, that's positive 5. If you add those together, you're going to get negative 1. That's not what I want. If you put the 3 down below, let's try that. 3 and 1. One of them has to be negative. Okay. So that's negative 15. That's positive 2. If you add those together, you get negative 13, which is exactly what I needed, except for the symbol. So I'll just change the symbol. I'll make the top one negative now, and the bottom one positive. Now when you multiply, that's going to get you a 15 with an x squared, and that's going to be a negative 2 with an x squared. They are alike, they're like terms, which gets me 13x squared. They wouldn't be alike if you made a 3, one of these a 3 and the other one a 1, but because we kept them both 2's, they're alike, we can actually add them. And so 13x squared is exactly what I needed. And so there you have it. There's a 5x squared minus 1 and a 2x squared plus 3. 5x squared minus 1 and a 2x squared plus 3. And there you go. So that's all of these. These ones are all kind of a little bit strange. You had the first one here that had x's on one side and then y's on the other. You had this one where it switched it so the x's are just on the right side. And here you changed it because you didn't have x squareds anymore. You could have x4s. And so we can kind of combine those. Next time we could put the x4s on the right. Or you can have an x4 on the left and a y4 on the right. So that's kind of where we're headed. Things can change a little bit. And then in future grades, they are even more elaborate. But that's it for this chapter.